Hello everyone, welcome to Rob's Rogues and the BatmanUniverse.net, and we are here finally at the end, the final figure from Mattel's DC Comics multiverse line ever, unless they surprise us with another announcement in 2020, which some people have said, well, technically they've got the license for a year, not a calendar year. I'll believe it when I see it, but I think this is the last one. And I may do a follow-up video after we do the Killer Croc Collect and Connect with some of the other figures that were shown to us that we never got, but that's another topic here or there. This is Tim Drake, Red Robin. If you follow my channel long enough to know that Tim Drake is my favorite character, he's my favorite Robin. And if I'm being completely honest, I'm one of those people that I love this Rebirth Robin costume. I love the double R. I think that's really cool. Read the Detective Comics James Tynion run and explains why he's in here. The short explanation is this is following the New 52 going into Rebirth, that Tim never felt like he was really a Robin because with Jason dying, he thought, well, I'm not going to call myself Robin. I'm going to call myself Red Robin. So technically, in the New 52 continuity and into Rebirth, his costumes were basically the 1 year later, the all red Robin costume. I don't mean Red Robin. Is the all red bodysuit that traditionally had the black trunks on him, but in the New 52, it was just they got rid of all the trunks for everybody. So he wore his basically 1 year later costume first. Then he wore the glider wing costume. And then when Batman put together the Gotham Knights, or that's what Tim called him in Rebirth, Bruce wanted to make Tim feel like, yes, you were always a Robin and you were a Robin to me, so had him wear this version of his costume. Now, in Rebirth, it was reset that, because of his continuity, that technically he was in his original Robin costume. So if that makes sense, in the Rebirth continuity, he wears his normal Robin costume, then he wears his red Robin costume, then the glider wing costume, and then back to this. So it's kind of crazy. I'm really giving you a lot of information here. It is said much better if you listen to a podcast, Robin Everyone Loves the Drake, by this guy. So this is a figure that I was so happy they were doing. And of course, I don't do very many customs, but I decided I was going to make my own Rebirth Robin custom, and I'll bring him up here in a little bit and I can show you how far I got till I was almost done, and then today we get this one. So of all the Mattel figures that we were shown, this was one I was like, I have to get. I need this one. I was so glad that in this final wave we get this version of Tim Drake. And this is from James Tynion's run. I believe this is Detective Comics 935. There'll probably be an annotation here being correct or not. When we get out of the box portion, I'll put up the image where this is from. He's getting ready to fight off the drones right before he's killed off, where we know he wasn't, but as far as all the characters in the Batman universe thought that he was dead when he wasn't really. But see, you knew this was going to be a longer video. Grab a couple sandwiches, folks. This is my favorite character, and this is what we do here. So the other figures that made up this wave to this point were the KG Beast, Katana, Alfred, Red Hood, Dick Grayson Batman, and of course Red Robin. Now that we have all 6 characters, all 6 figures, we can put together the Killer Croc Collect and Connect. Let's look at the bio for this. It's a rather short bio, but it says, DC Rebirth, Red Robin. From sidekick to superhero, Tim Drake fights crime in Gotham City alongside the rest of the Bat family. Kind of a short little bio, but he was one of the main players in James Tynion's Detective Comics run. And of course, right now, he is the lead of Young Justice, and he is going by the code name of Drake, and he has a new costume. We'll save that for later, but let's get in to the final action figure review from Mattel. When we come back, we will take a look at Tim Drake Red Robin. Don't go anywhere. And here is Tim Drake Red Robin, the Rebirth Red Robin, out of package. And We're just going to go ahead and spoil it. This is my favorite figure from the wave. It's really hard to choose. I'll bring everybody else back up after Killer Croc. And a lot of people said, hey, Rob, this is probably going to be your favorite figure. Almost said sphincter. Favorite figure. Again, it's my favorite character in DC Comics. Huge Tim Drake fan, as a lot of you know. So it's probably a no-brainer that this was going to be. And it's not because I'm biased. The figure is just sculpted immaculately. I do own two now. The other one is downstairs. He's currently in a box. I haven't opened that one up yet. But I do have on that one downstairs, I have a little bit of a yellow paint spill. Not paint spill, but like overspray on the yellow. Just a little bit. So at least for the time being, I opened up the right figure. So I actually bought this one from Walmart because, like I said, I wanted to have at least, my goal is to have 3. I want to be able to have 2 open to have in 2 different sets. One for my Detective Comics team, and then one for just my general DC Universe Classic setup. And the third one, and I don't know if I'll pick up a third, maybe I'll only ever have one open, but I want to be able to get James Tynion the Fourth and Eddie Barrows to be able to sign that, since they're art and it's their story for this particular Robin. Now, some people, if you're not following the comics, the long story short, why is Tim Drake called Red Robin while he is in this costume? Right before this, going from the New 52 into Rebirth, Tim Drake was wearing the glider wings from the New 52. And since, you know, the New 52 spills into Rebirth, what ended up happening is Tim never felt like he was actually a Robin. So when Bruce Wayne was putting together his Gotham Knights team, that Tim would later call them the Gotham Knights, but for Detective Comics, in the story, they retconned his origin to match what it was back in 1989. And then in the story, Bruce said, you were always a Robin to me. So Bruce gave Tim this costume, still calling him Red Robin, that's why he has a double R's, but wanting him to be wearing a Robin costume. So Tim knew that Bruce always felt that he was a Robin and that he always should feel like he was a Robin. And they wanted to have a Robin looking figure or looking aesthetic on the team. And initially, the first sketch that Eddie Barrows had done for Rebirth, and I will put it up right here. All right, we've got Red Robin here. I changed and brought one of my original bases back up here. I want to take a look at all of the Robin figures that Mattel has now officially produced in this 6-inch action figure line. Yes, I know there's some Batman Missions figures, and there are different repaints of a few other figures out there, but these are all of the principal figures, and the first ones I'm going to bring up are all of the Tim Drake figures, and then we'll filter out with the rest of the Robins. So here we go. And here are all the Tim Drakes. We've got the All-Stars 2 wave right here. We've got the 2 Tim Drakes that hopefully the camera can pick it up. These are actually quite a bit smaller than the 2019 version of Tim Drake Red Robin. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this is wave 6 Tim Drake, and this is the dynamic duo 2-pack that came with Batman. Still the most expensive figure I've ever bought off eBay. Was $60 for one figure. I saved up some Christmas money, and I was like, I've got to have this. It was always out of my price range. I came into money at Christmas a few years back, and bam, there we go. We have the Batman Arkham City 2-pack that came with the Joker, Tim Drake right there. And then the 2003, the very first Tim Drake made by Mattel. So you can see where we began and see where we ended. So now let's bring up all of the other Robins that are in this 6-inch collectible scale that Mattel has made. So here are all of the 6-inch action figure Robins from everything that Mattel has made so far, with the exception of some of the evergreen lines, the missions lines, and a couple of those other ones. But like I said, I keep saying this, the 6-inch multi-points of articulation collector action figures. We've got the two, I believe these are Wave 18, the Bane Collect and Connect. Dick Grayson's, although a lot of us think that this is more of a Jason Todd, but this is, you know, the two classic Robins. We have the Young Justice Robin here. We have the Carrie Kelly, the Dark Knight Returns. We have the Burt Ward, Batman 66 Robin. Arkham City Robin. The DC Signatures line, Damian Wayne Robin, the Toys R Us exclusive DCYOU Rebirth, Damian Wayne Robin, the 2003 Robin from Mattel. We have Tim Drake up here and Tim Drake here, I believe like Wave 5 or 6, and then the 2-pack. We have Duke Thomas as the We Are Robin that I've half thought about painting him in yellow and just turning him into the Signal, but technically he's a We Are Robin. And then the end of the All-Stars Wave 2, Tim Drake, Red Robin, and then of course the 2019 Tim Drake Robin. That is a lot of Robin figures. And this is one happy Robin fan to have all of them now all together and complete. And you knew with this figure this was going to be a little longer review, and hey, I really don't care. I've been away from YouTube for a while. So I want to show some teams that I've been kind of wanting to see how this Robin works with here. It was really hard to kind of pair Tim Drake, the smaller figure from like Wave 6 in with like Superboy or Supergirl as they're a little bit older, but having the t-shirt Superboy and then Cassie here, they're all three in great height, scale, and size. So if you wanted this version of the team together, you can. Not that their costumes match the universe or whatever, but still neither here nor there. And another version of the team that I really kind of like, there's a comic book series written by Dan Jurgens that is going on right now. It was part of the Walmart 100-page giant, and it was a Teen Titans book. And in that book is Raven, Starfire, Beast Boy, and Tim Drake make up that team. And this is the version of the costume that they're wearing. They're all in their Rebirth costumes. I have all of them in their Rebirth costumes, but Raven, I only have the DC Universe Classics Raven, and I wanted to be able to show that team as well. And this is the first that I've had Beast Boy and Starfire from the new Rebirth wave from Mattel on camera. And I think these four look really good together. And they also had this team set up in the Walmart 100-page giant, because while that was going on, the Titans DC Universe app TV show was going on, and this was the core of the team at the time that was going on. So rather than put Damian in that role, which is what they would traditionally do now, Dan Jurgens was like, you know what, let's put Tim Drake in that role, and we get to have Tim Drake running around the universe. So those 100-page giants have been collected now at your local comic book stores, and they're doing a two-issue, putting 2 issues of those 100-page giants into one and doing a little maxi series. And it's called Titans Burning Rage, if you are inclined to want to pick that up. Now, I don't know if you get much closer than this. This is the body for the Batman Arkham City Robin figure, and this is the Arkham City DC Collectibles. The cape I was using wasn't quite working. So this is about as far as I got to be able to complete it, because at the time I was making this, I thought we're never going to get a Rebirth Red Robin figure. And all I had was like the R to do, and then I was using Roy Harper's head from the Young Justice. I'm now going back and repainting that head to put back on the Young Justice figure, because now I really don't need this figure. I think that's what you have to do, is go out and do a custom, and eventually they're going to do that. And I had said this would have been a great body to use. They could have just used this body and done very little retooling at all and just said, hey, this is Rebirth Red Robin. Mainly because of the gauntlets here, and that was one thing I was wanting to look at. Are these the same gauntlets from this figure? And I gotta tell you, I think they are. They probably tooled them just a little bit, but the forearm gauntlets are pretty darn close. I thought maybe the boots are, but you can see that this figure for Arkham City was pretty darn close to being ready, that if they still had this mold somewhere in-house, they could have just said, you know what, screw it, let's use it. So this is probably as close to completing a custom as I ever got. And, you know, the part of me says, oh, go ahead and finish it. I would have, you know, my version of Red Robin, but this one is just so far superior to what I was going to create. But that one I was working on, I think if I tidied it up just a little bit more, I think I would have had a pretty solid figure, and I was pretty much spot on using the body that I did. So now that I've rambled on probably really long in this video, let's get some articulation on this figure and get a closer look at Tim Drake. So he can look up a little bit, so you can see the neck is splitting just a little right there, so a little extra pressure. Probably didn't get sealed very well, but it's not bad, not bad at all. Can look down as if he is, so in this case we'll use this Damian, since this is the correct Damian to be using. So currently in DC Comics, up until, well, not currently, Tim Drake's new persona in Young Justice is called Drake. That's right, Tim Drake's new code name. But these two look really good together. Two brothers. I liked that there were two Robins in the DC universe for quite a while. But hey, neither here nor there. So his head can look down. It's on the classic ball pegs here. It can go all the way around. The cape is nice, soft, and pliable. You can see how it's kind of pegged in back there, so it really doesn't get in the way. You can even get the cape to get a little wind blown look if you want to. He has double jointed elbows, which is great, so you can get the bow staff resting on his shoulder, which that's how I've had him posed quite a bit there. He's got a hinge wrist and swivel again. The hands do come out to be able to put on the alternate fist hands, which I'm really not going to do, because from time to time I do put a batarang in this hand. So he's got a batarang and his bow staff. Again, he does not come with the batarang. He's got an ab crunch that works very well. Probably one of the better ab crunches that I've seen on figures. He has a twist at the waist. He has an upper thigh cut. Mine's a little stiff there. Double jointed knee. It's got the ball peg crotch piece there. I think I said double jointed knee, and then a hinge at the foot. So another figure that I want to do a comparison with, and it is about time that we get these two together. That would be, of course, Spoiler. Oh, the Lovebirds. I love Stephanie Brown and Tim Drake together. They look great together. I think their size, height is perfect. The happy little couple running off to college, and they're not really going to at the end of Rebirth, because they're going on their own adventure to find out where the missing memories are for a lot of the heroes, and that leads into Young Justice. So since we've gotten this far with the Detective Rebirth James Tynion run, let's bring up all of the Detective Comics Gotham Knight team. And here's the Detective Comics Rebirth team of all of the figures that they made with my repainted belt on this Batman, so he would, you know, match aesthetically with the team. So sadly, we never got an Azrael or a Cassandra Cain orphan. Now some people are using the DC Superheroes, a little bit of hair there on Batman, DC Superheroes Batgirl, which I've thought about trying to pick her up again. She's another expensive figure. But a figure I just recently bought that I thought works really well. I do not have the Azrael from the DC Superheroes line, but in story, in Rebirth, there was a part, since Jean-Paul Valley Azrael has been brought back into Rebirth, there was an issue where he was wearing the Knight's End body armor to help him, I can't remember exactly what he was fighting off, a computer virus oh, this trying to deprogram it from the system and using something that Luke Fox, who he later joined the team after Tim Drake was quote-unquote killed off, not really, but when he came back, Luke Fox stayed on, so I thought, well, it'd be really cool to, I almost had the Knights and Blue Asbats up here, but I thought there is a red version that looks very Azrael-ish, so currently on my Rebirth stand, I have the Azrael Batman standing in, and kind of currently in DC Comics Rebirth, this is a version of the costume he's wearing, very much in the Azrael colors. So I just recently bought this off DC Universe Classics Collector's Facebook page, and I've got a little rubber band holding the sword, and the sword here is actually the Ares sword from the Wonder Woman Collect and Connect Ares figure. And there's Ares' head right there. So I've got my flaming sword for Azrael. So other than Cassandra Cain, this is my completed team. And Tim Drake officially fills this team out. And I've got a bat shelf with all of them standing on. So this is why, one reason I wanted a second Red Robin, because I've got the rest of the Bat family somewhere else in my room, and I wanted a Tim Drake Robin. So in both setups. So I think this is a great way to end this action figure review with Tim Drake Red Robin here. This team looks great. This hands down goes down to be one of my favorite figures. I think once I start figuring out, at least out of this wave, and I'm really going to have to think out of all the DC Universe Classic figures what my top 10 is, and that's going to be so hard. But right now, this is a favorite figure of mine. So this is where we're going to wrap up this review. Today, right here, we've been taking a look at Tim Drake Red Robin from Rebirth, and the sixth and final figure, and I mean final figure, unless Mattel does something else in 2020. This is the last figure produced for Mattel for the DC Comics Boys license, and couldn't think of a better figure to end on. But of course, we've got one more figure to look at, and that is the Collect and Connect Killer Croc. And then I'm going to have to decide what my favorite figures are, but I think we already kind of know. So we've been taking a look at Red Robin from Rebirth, Mattel 80th Anniversary Batman Wave Killer Croc, Collect and Connect. And as always, this is Rob for Rob's Rogues, signing off for the BatmanUniverse.net, saying we will see you guys next time.